the only blueprint you'll ever need to grow your construction business. That title was a little bit of a double entendre for all the Aussies out there, just in case you didn't get it. I'm going to start this off with a bang. Love it or hate it, like it or leave it, I don't mind. My goal is to keep you reading. The construction industry is coming last across all industries when it comes to doing business the new way, the right way. But what does this mean exactly? I'll explain it in detail as we progress further. But what I need you to know is that by the end of reading the article, if you're reading it, or if you're listening to me giving it out to you, you're going to have the secret sauce to exponentially grow your construction company. How does that sound? So you're probably saying to yourself, just because it's new, right, doesn't make it right and the old way wrong. You might be saying, who is this head in the clouds academic who knows nothing about the front lines of a construction company? Or you could even be saying, the right way is probably just another fad that will blow over as fast as planking. We all remember planking. Let me answer each of those questions individually because they give total clarity on the state of our industry right now. Then I'm going to get onto the blueprint, aka the secret sauce. So the first one was, just because it's new doesn't make it right and the old way wrong. Let me ask you a question. How has the old way been working for you today? Could be working great, could be working not so great, but I can guarantee it could be working better. Is it the same way that your competition does it? Is your business exactly where you want it to be? And even if it is, that really doesn't mean that it's going to stay that way. As times change, so should you. Let me tell you a little story of a Goliath called Blockbuster and a David called Netflix. In 2000, Netflix approached Blockbuster to be bought out for a cool $50 million, which at the time seemed like a lot for Netflix. That is nothing like it is today. You see, at the time, Netflix was actually a DVD mailing service, and they believed that the only way they could move forward was to be brought out by the Goliath Blockbuster before Blockbuster the Goliath stomped them into the ground. Selling had seemed to be our only way out, and Goliath didn't want to buy us. He wanted to stomp us into the ground. As long a shot as Blockbuster had been, I genuinely held out the hope that it would save us. Now, it was clear that if we were going to get out of the crash alive, it was entirely on us. That was written by Mark Randolph, the co-founder of Netflix. So Netflix went back to the drawing board after they had not received the offer that they'd wanted from Blockbuster and pushed forward with an idea that they'd been toying with at the time, and that was online streaming. So fast forward to 2019, there is one privately owned Blockbuster left in the world, and this is according to Wikipedia, and the company itself filed for bankruptcy in 2010. Netflix, well, today it's worth about $125 billion, and that's a whole lot more than the $50 million that it could have been bought for in the year 2000. Why do I tell you this story? Because it highlights that when businesses do not pivot with the times, they ultimately lose out. Remember Kodak? They didn't pivot with the times when the digital movement came through. Or what about Toys R Us? Same story. They were too late meeting the needs of their customers as their customers' needs changed, and that was to produce an e-commerce online platform. When I first heard these stories and read about these stories, I thought to myself, and I think this is probably what you might be also thinking to yourself, those are massive companies. It's not entirely relevant to what I do. That was so wrong, so wrong. It is totally relevant to what we do. They run a business, you run a business, I run a business. They rely on customers, you rely on customers, I rely on customers. That's it. So when something new comes along, right, a new technology, a new way of doing things, a new customer need, It comes along because the world started asking for it. Let's let that statement sink in. New is because of a new need, right? Netflix fulfills the need of an on-demand streaming service, on demand. Amazon fulfills the need of just about every shopping item that you could think of. Well, I guess that's sort of true in the US anyway. Australia, we're a little bit behind with Amazon. I am really, really looking forward to drone delivery. These needs need to become a new way of life. But something new doesn't totally change our internal philosophy or psychology as humans. It just changes our expectations of the normal. So this is the point right now where you should be thinking to yourself, what is the new norm that people are expecting? Keep listening if you want to find out. Alternatively, if you don't want to keep listening, at the end of this video and in the notes for this video, I'm going to put a link to a free discovery session where you and I can chat about it for nothing. So the second statement that I read earlier that I want to address is, who is this head in the clouds academic who knows nothing about the front lines of a construction company? Well, for starters, I'm not an academic. You don't even want to get me started on the world of academia. That's for another video. And yes, sometimes my head is in the clouds, I'll admit that, but it's only there so I can get a bird's eye view of what's going on around me. I've been there and done that in the construction industry. When I first started my company, I was on the front lines. I was the site manager, the administrator, the business development manager, the bookkeeper, the CFO, the CEO, the project manager, the operations manager. You name it, I was it. But I learned early on that this was not a sustainable business model. All these things were helping the bottom line, but they were not helping the top line grow, or my health, my future wealth, or my sanity. It actually drove me nuts, really nuts. And I hope you, if you're wearing all those hats at the moment, it drives you nuts as well. As a business owner, I'm better at certain things than others. For example, administration, not my thing. Strategy, my thing. So doing all these individual tasks to keep overheads down was not a way I wanted to build a business with solid foundations. When I finally hit rock bottom in my head, I knew something had to change. I couldn't be spending 80 hours a week doing things I didn't like and that I wasn't that great at. Enough was enough. I had to change. And after a Google search for construction coaches who taught in the new school came up dry, I had to find a second best mentor, which I now know was my first best mentor. I turned to those I trusted most. Experts in sales, in marketing, in business growth, strategies, people who already had success. I had to know what it was that they did, what set them apart in business. And if I could find out that, I knew I'd make a massive change in my own business. So I spent thousands of hours studying all those techniques that made those guys successful in business. And I regrew myself into what I now know is a business owner and not a business operator. I studied marketing strategies from Jay Abraham, sales techniques from Jordan Belfort, the Wolf on Wall Street, love him or hate him, business growth strategies from Tony Robbins, and influence and persuasion techniques from some of the top NLP experts in the world. The bottom line is, I went to the best to show me how to do it, because there was no one out there that I believed that could teach me specifically in our industry, which is construction. I've built a construction company from $0 to 8 figures annually in under 4 years. I've learned the lessons and I'm a student of what I teach. I have a mission, and that mission is to help others build their construction companies the right way. Nothing drives me more insane than the herd mentality advice that is given out when you're in need most. I was forced to expand outside our industry, but I am so glad that I did, because Now, I fully understand that our customers, no matter what the industry, they're all humans who deep down in their 2 million-year-old brains, the same 2 million-year-old brain I have and that you have, want the exact same thing. Our customers want more pleasure and less pain. Techniques to deliver more pleasure and less pain existed in other industries. Further on, I'm going to tell you a little story about a Louis Vuitton handbag that I bought, which really does show this. But I truly believed, and I still don't, that these techniques are present in the construction industry. Let me give you a very high-level, typical example that highlights this. I typed into Google, "Why are builders?" And these were the results. Why are builders' pencils flat? That's semi-irrelevant. Why are builders so expensive? That's a negative connotation attached to builders. Why are builders so loud? Negative. Why are builders called chippies? Irrelevant. Why are builders so rich? Well, we all know that's untrue and negative. Why are builders always late? Oh, this one's funny. Why are builders fat? Because of the stress. Why are builders important? That was the first, and it was the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th item in a Google search that finally highlighted that builders are a positive thing. So today, everything that's been happening has been so negative that when people search why are builders, everything is negative. And then the final was why are builders so unreliable? Another massive negative. And I hope this highlights my point. I've given my blood, sweat, and tears to the front lines of my construction company. And the sad truth for most construction businesses today is that the owner will never leave the front line until the last bullet is shot. The reason? Because no one is out there telling them what I am telling them. They are so caught up in working in the business, not on the business, and I really don't blame them. Because there is actually no direction or guidance given to them for how to actually work on the business. Why would you, or how would you work on the business when you didn't know what working on the business means? I hate that saying, work on the business, not in the business, because I know what people are saying in response to that. The reason I work on the business is because that's what I know. The reason I work in the business is because that's what I know. I started as a carpenter, then became a builder. I know how to build, but no one ever taught me how to run a company. I don't even know what working on the business is. And if I take time off, my business stops. Does that sound familiar? As a business owner, you're told you have to have a Facebook page. You have to attend networking events. You have to have the latest and greatest website. These are all fine, but if you have no direction, they are somewhat pointless. Ask yourself these. Is your customer even on Facebook? Do they care about your new work truck? What am I supposed to do with this handful of cards I got from a networking event? Do I even want to refer clients to this real estate agent I met at this networking event? I got told you have to put all these things on a website. Should I do that? We looked at your company. We looked at, what our competition was doing and mimicked their website. Does that sound good? I hope I just sounded like a raving lunatic to you guys, right? There is no doubt that all the information that gets thrown at you and the questions that people tell you to ask are wrong. None of it makes any sense unless you start running your business the new way, the right way. So, what is the new way, the right way? It's about time I got down to the meat in this sandwich, enough bread and salad. I remember it so clearly. It was like a light bulb went off in my head. Bing! Well, actually, it was more than a light bulb. It was like a firework. You know, one of those ones that explodes and then explodes into a heap of tiny little ones that then explode again? That's sort of what it was like. Everything I was learning started to come together and make total sense. And really, it all came down to one core idea. Listen to this idea, light bulb, because if you only take one thing away from what I'm saying, I really want it to be this. Do things differently. I'll repeat that. Do things differently. If you see your competitors doing something and you do it 10% better, you'll get a 10% better result. That sounds pretty mediocre to me. When achieving that 10% in a red ocean market will mean fighting for more chum than your fellow sharks. But being totally different means establishing yourself in a new market, free from competition, free for you to win the award of business growth. And this is what's called a blue ocean. For more information on red oceans or blue oceans, jump onto Google and do a search for yourself. But the basics of it, a red ocean is a highly competitive ocean. A blue ocean is an ocean free from competition. You might be saying to yourself right now, Danny, establishing myself in a blue ocean, does that mean totally dumping my whole product or offering and starting from scratch? Nope. It means finding a new way to deliver your product or offering that sets you so far apart from the rest, you can't even call them competition anymore. This is essentially what my blueprint is all about. It's about having exponential growth and being able to control that growth. It's about enjoying the experience with your customers and clients. It's about being able to charge more. And it also means not stressing so much about your competition because you're primarily focused on your own growth. How do you start? Well, the first step, first step, you need to say, "You shall not pass." Remember Gandalf from Lord of the Rings? You need to say, "You shall not pass" to anything you've heard before and anything that comes your way moving forward until you're trained in the new way. When you're at a barbecue and someone says, "Instagram worked for me," forget it. When it comes to marketing and sales, which are two totally different things, you have to employ a tailored strategy to your business. There is no one-size-fits-all approach. There is, however, a blueprint, which is what I've developed, to help figure out in your business the marketing and sales direction. And this then is used to develop a marketing and sales strategy. I'll link a podcast in this video notes to a Jay Abraham podcast I listened to recently. For those that don't know who Jay Abraham is, he's basically the $21.7 billion man and the highest paid marketing consultant in the world. And what this podcast does is it highlights this fact. It highlights the theory of breaking away from the herd mentality. So I'll link that into the notes. The new way and the right way, breaking away from the herd mentality, is not a fad. It's a requirement for businesses who want to achieve exponential growth. Exponential growth is that type of growth that sets your businesses apart from the rest. It's what you want running a business, or at least I hope it's what you want running a business. Quite simply, the new way, the right way, is about serving the needs, the wants, the desires, and the goals of your customers, all the while addressing their pain and their reservations by helping them trust in you and proceed with your product. Okay, that was a bit of a mouthful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break that down into something even simpler. Giving your customers what they subconsciously want. And I say subconsciously because your customers don't even really know what they want. Remember, we have a 2 million-year-old brain, and it's wired to seek out pleasure and avoid pain. And none of us control this 2 million-year-old brain. It's our job as business owners to discover the drivers in this 2 million-year-old brain of our customers and then deliver on what that 2 million-year-old brain wants. Fun little fact, people make decisions within 4.7 seconds of hearing. If you don't make a solid call in those first 4.7 seconds, you will probably lose your customer. And the reason is because after 4.7 seconds, the people's logical brain ticks in. Now, what you want to do is you want to attach to that original 4.7 seconds, which is their emotional brain, but then you also want to sell to the logical brain. If you do not sell to the emotional brain first, you will lose them on the logical brain. It's that simple. So selling your product by saying how great it is, how awesome you are, how great this is selling to a logical brain. It is not selling to an emotional brain. So remember that. You're probably saying right now, though, that everyone's emotional brain wants something different. And yes, you are right, but your ideal customer, that one customer that you'd love to just have repeated throughout your business, will typically have similar subconscious needs. So what I've done is I've put together my business blueprint, which is primarily for the construction industry, but applicable to nearly all industries across the board. And what this blueprint does is I address for you one-on-one the following 6 core areas. And the first core area, flowing on from what we've been talking about, is marketing and sales, which I call core area number 1 and 2. The goal for the marketing and sales portion of the blueprint is simple. Bring more people through the door, close them, upsell them, turn them into raving fans. Rereading the words above, I realize that some of it can sort of sound a little bit out there and academic, but once your customer experiences their needs being met, you've really unlocked the key to your business success. Let me give you a bit of a personal example. Something I spoke about a little earlier. Recently, I did something very, very nice for my wife. I bought her a Louis Vuitton handbag. You probably all know the one. It's the brown with the Louis Vuitton pattern. It's got the beige highlights. Look, I must admit, looking over this handbag, I was pretty impressed with the quality. She'd been wanting one for a long time, and after a bit of a business win, I decided I'd get it for her. The thing is, though, if I'm buying a $2,000 handbag, I expect next level service, right? I don't expect to be treated like just some other customer that walks into Kmart. I want the whole experience. And remember that word, experience. From the moment we entered the store, we were basically guided through their sales process. And what I want to do is explain that to you now. So as you enter the store, you're first greeted by the security guard, who opens the door for you and basically ushers you into the store with a friendly hello and a smile. That's it. Next, you're welcomed by a person who greets every customer that comes through the door. It's this person's job to basically welcome you to the store and find out exactly what you're looking for. They take your names down on a tablet and then direct you to the particular specialist for that product that you're looking for. The specialist metaphorically takes you by the hand, offers you a drink, addresses you by your name, invites you to sit down to present the options for purchase. First off, you're treated to a story behind the product. You're treated to the smell of the leather. You're treated to the specialist putting on some white gloves just so they don't tarnish the product. You're treated to all the different options, like the inside lining color, the sizing, the band colors. Then it's time for you to touch and feel the handbag. You don't have to wear any white gloves, but you get to see how it feels on your shoulder. Look at it in the mirror. Look at how good you look wearing it. Then you're invited at no extra cost to have your initials embossed in a beautiful gold color, totally customized to you. At no point is price discussed until you ask how much. At this point, you're presented with a singular price, $1,995, followed by, which includes X, Y, Z, A, B, C, D, E, all the way through to Z again. By this time, you are so in awe of this experience that it's hard to say no. The transaction itself is made simple. You remain seated in the comfy chairs while the specialist takes your card for processing. At no time are you asked to line up or stand at a counter. Then your card is returned to you in a nice little card holder, which you take with you, that contains your receipt. The item you bought is lovingly inspected prior to walking out the door, put back in the box, and a nice ribbon ties up the box. The box is put in a striking orange bag with ribbon handles, and as you're walked to the door by the assistant, they give you their own personal business card. And they invite you to contact them at any time about your product. That's it, right? I say there are 12 steps that you go for buying a Louis Vuitton handbag. And as someone that is very new to this kind of purchase, I can tell you right now, the experience sold me on the price. They treat you with the utmost respect and provide a level of service far beyond a typical buyer's expectation. After this happened, I really wanted to see if any of the other designers offered the same experience. Without naming names, I was disappointed at the experience the others provided, and therefore no sale was made. Right now, I don't want anything from Louis Vuitton, but I can tell you, in the competitive designer market, this experience has set Louis Vuitton apart and far above the rest, in my opinion. What I'd like to do now is go back to this experience and dissect it, because I want you all listening to understand how simple additions to Louis Vuitton's sales process provided the experience needed to close me as a customer. Okay, as you enter the store, you're first greeted by the security person. Now, we call this feeling significance. Everyone, in some way, shape, or form, wants to feel significant. Make a person feel significant, and you've likely won them as a customer. Plus, the security guards open the door for you, so therefore they've done something for you. And we call that reciprocity. Think, do right by others, and they'll do right by you. Okay, next, you're greeted by the person who greets everyone coming through the door. They take your name on the tablet and direct you to the specialist. Again, significance. You're treated to their process, treated like a wonderful person. Plus more reciprocity, because they have taken your name and they've basically pushed you over to the specialist. Now, that specialist basically is an authority figure, and it makes you feel like you're being handled by the expert. You're not being pushed over to the trainee. The specialist then, metaphorically, remember, takes you by the hand, offers you a drink, addresses you by your name, blah, blah, blah. Significance again, everyone loves to hear their own name. Reciprocity, the drink, plus there is a level of rapport building, which adds another level of influence called liking. Additionally, you now start to feel more comfortable being taken through a process. While the process is out of your control, you are asked a series of questions which makes you feel like you are in control. Another basic human need that we all want is to feel in control. Finally, or not finally, but you are then treated to a story behind the product. Remember, then you're treated to the smell of the leather, the specialist wearing the gloves, you're treated to the different options. Then it's time to touch and feel the handbag. Look at how it looks. You're invited to have your initials embossed. Authority. They're hitting you with some authority here. They are starting to hit your senses now. Smell, touch, sight. Again, more and more significance. You feel so significant that you feel so significant that your bag has to be touched by someone else with white gloves, and you get to customize it totally to suit your identity. There's another factor here, subtly reinforced, called consistency. It's as you wear the bag on your shoulder, you feel like this is the new you. How could you live consistently and go back to the old you? You want to stick by your new identity. Finally, with what's just happened, there's one more factor called social proof. People rely on social cues from others how to think and act in many situations. Paris is synonymous with the fashion industry. So where do you think the story of Louis Vuitton takes us? That's right, to Paris. It takes us to the catwalk with the top supermodels and celebrities. No more social proof is needed than a celebrity or a supermodel displaying the product. The identity people want when they buy a Louis Vuitton handbag is to feel like a celebrity or a supermodel. Finally, at no point is price discussed until you ask how much it costs. Now, what people would consider the selling portion starting, it's not actually. The product is basically already sold. Selling doesn't mean physical pushy sales tactics. It means giving people what they subconsciously want. By this time, you're so in awe of the experience that it's hard to say no, right? No one who walks into a Louis Vuitton store with an intention to buy, even a small intention, is put off by the cost. Why? Well, you're preconditioned to know that this is a high quality product. You're so swept up in the experience, you simply don't find until you start talking with other designer brands, you know that the product means something more to you than just the product itself. It hits your identity. And finally, you want people to know you, I guess, as the Louis Vuitton handbag wearing person, right? So the transaction's made simple. Remember, you keep sitting in the comfy chair, they take your card, they bring it back in a nice little package, they lovingly tie a ribbon around the box that contains your handbag, it's put in a beautiful bag, and you're given the business card. What more significance, authority, liking, reciprocity can you get from this experience? The personal phone number. To me, that is just like a boom, mic drop moment. You get the personal phone number of that person in case you need any more advice. But wait, there is one more thing. Remember our 2 million-year-old brain, which is wired to seek pleasure and avoid pain? Pain would be leaving the store and leaving your identity behind. Pleasure would be fulfilling your true identity and leaving with the bag. Pain and pleasure in perfect harmony. Your logical brain, the one that says $2,000 for a handbag, it just doesn't stand a chance. Seriously though, if you're still listening, which I really hope you are, does that story not sort of make you just want to go and experience being treated that way as you buy any product? I'm a Louis Vuitton convert and I have to buy again from them in the future. But if I don't get that same treatment, then I'm again, boom, mic drop, dunny out, but like properly, totally out. You see, this is where a sales process has to stand out on its own. It has to be replicatable, it has to be consistent, and it has to follow through on the promises. Another quick story that I want to share that represents sort of next level service. A few years ago, I bought my wife, again, I buy her such nice things, a Tiffany bracelet. Nothing too expensive, a few $100. To this day, we still get a handwritten card from the sales consultant for her birthday every year. Probably 3 years had to go by until we bought again. But the cards never stopped. Simply, this made me feel good. It made me feel cared about. It made me feel significant. 30 seconds to write out a birthday card, say 3 times, so what's that, 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, caused me to purchase again, caused me to spend hundreds of dollars again. How, though, does this all relate to the construction industry? Think back when we talked about the herd mentality. Everyone in the construction industry does the same thing. They do it the old way, they do it the wrong way. No one steps out from the herd in fear of being eaten by a lion. But if you want to start your own herd, be the leader of the pack, and have massive exponential growth, you need to leave the confines of your current beliefs in this industry. The construction industry is behind, but I'll show you how to bring it forward. The other day, I heard a perfect example of an opportunity lost. Purely because this construction company did not spend the time understanding their customers. The story goes, there was a display village on the Sunshine Coast in Queensland. And in this display village, it's typically set up for first home buyers. So the typical demographic is sort of that early 30s, 2 kids, young family. Now, once they sign on the dotted line, they were told they have to travel to another location to pick all their colours, plumbing items, joinery, etc. in their showroom, which was located on the Gold Coast. Now, for those of you that don't know, that's probably 2 to 2.5 hours drive without traffic. So all of this excitement of buying and designing their home was now forgotten because of this journey that these young families had to go on to pick their colours. Even after they probably just spent $500,000 or more. This was not sort of a one-off. This was a common theme amongst the buyers. Anyone that's listening that has young kids knows that going on long journeys in the car is not easy. And look, I don't know about you, but when I spend that sort of money, so if I'm spending $500,000 and it's likely the biggest investment that most people are going to make, I expect next level service. I understand that the company can't just go and build a showroom in every location, but the task of designing their home, which should be fun, it should be exciting, and it should be enjoyable, was overshadowed by the difficulty of traveling with young kids. Remember Louis Vuitton? You're only spending $2,000 and they don't even ask you to walk 5 steps to the counter to pay. Now imagine if this company thought in the new way, the right way. What could have they done? Well, firstly, they'd realized that their demographic and their ideal client would find it difficult to travel in the car for realistically a 5-hour round trip with young kids. Unfortunately, though, this is just an unavoidable thing. So instead of thinking the current way they do, why not give the family something that they all want, a holiday? Make designing their home an even better experience. Pay for 2 nights accommodation, breakfast included, and maybe an experience while they're there. Those that don't know, the Gold Coast, where this showroom is located, is probably the tourism capital of Australia. What a missed opportunity. Think of how happy the family would have been to have a holiday paid for, plus an exciting experience. Who are they going to remember when they remember their holiday? Who are they going to say paid for their holiday when other people ask about it at their work or among family and friends? That's right, the builder that they bought the house off. The builder did this wonderful thing and paid for a holiday so we could come down to the Gold Coast and design our new home. That's a part of a sales process that will win. That's a way of thinking outside the box, swimming away from the red ocean and asserting yourself as the only option in your marketplace. Now, remember I said earlier the blueprint was about 6 core areas. So we've just been over marketing and sales, and now I'm going to jump into core area 3 and 4, which is direction and time. Unfortunately, you will achieve none. I repeat, none of anything that we've talked about if you don't take the business right back to bare bones to begin with. Think of it this way. You know you need to lose some weight. What I'm going to tell you will be confronting, but it is necessary. Take off all your clothes, stand in front of the mirror and look at yourself. Really look at yourself. Look at your love handles. Look at that place where your abs used to be. Now, there is no way of getting to where you want to go without knowing exactly where you are right now. As you stare in the mirror, you need to picture your ideal body shape. What would you absolutely love to achieve? Don't let anything stop you imagining. Are you picturing if you're a man, the physique of Zac Efron, or for a lady, it might be the booty of Kim Kardashian? Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. This is a goal that you want to achieve. You're probably telling yourself, I'll never look like Zac or Kim. They have the best personal trainers. They have live-in chefs, and their life revolves around their physical condition. I want you to take that type of mindset and just squash it. Gone. I want you to tell that mindset to beat it. Get right out of your head now, because your mind has been conditioned so far to setting goals that fall within the herd. Achievable, comfortable, and not too stressful. Now, do you think there are plenty of people out there who have the Zac Efron physique or that have the Kim Kardashian booty and still work full time? There would definitely be people out there. These people are no different from you, except that they made a commitment that they would achieve the body they desired. They knew it would be hard work. They knew it'd be tough at times and uncomfortable, but they also knew that in order to achieve what they wanted, they had to move through it. Remember, successful people do what unsuccessful people don't want to do. And the first thing that unsuccessful people do not want to do, and rarely ever do, is change the way they do things. You see, unsuccessful people live in a comfort zone within the herd because it's easy. But when the herd is ambushed by a pride of lions, the herd is done for. It's every antelope within that herd but for themselves at that point in time. Stop being an antelope, start being a lion. Start choosing that if you want to eat antelope, you are going to eat antelope. It won't be easy. There'll be some stepping outside of your comfort zone, but boy, oh boy, will that be some super juicy antelope. Where am I going with all this? Achieving success in your business comes down to owning one simple formula to begin with. Without this, you're building a house on sand. You first need to know where you are, then you need to know where you want to be, and finally, you need to know why you want to be in that place. With your business goals, you have to get out of the mindset of everyone else. If you don't, you're just going to achieve the same results. If you want exponential results, you need to dream big, you need to believe in your dream, and take massive, massive action. Yes, there are dreams that are too big and too unachievable, and I'm not telling you to do that. Think, I'm 40 years old and I've got a dream to play in the NBA. Probably an unachievable goal. But remember, the purpose of setting these goals big is to expand your thinking outside the herd. Stop thinking in 2D and start thinking in 3D. Tony Robbins, the world's #1 life and business strategist, often uses this analogy. If I said to you, I will give you $10 million by this time tomorrow if you could lose 20 kilos, could you do it? You'd probably say, no way, it's not physically possible. I might be able to lose 5 to 10 kilos maybe of water weight, But 20 kilos, nah, it's just not an option. What if I said to you, your leg, it weighs 20 kilos, cut it off. If getting that 10 million is more important to you than having a leg, you'd do it. I talk about this not to prove whether you're a psychopath or not, rather to demonstrate the linear thinking most of us have. Another one, if I said to you, you have to raise $1 million in 30 days, pretend you had nothing, for a life-saving operation for a loved one, could you do it? I truly believe you'd try everything under the sun to at least try and get that $1 million. It's all about attaching enough why to your end goal that you find ways of doing things you might have been too clouded to see earlier. You could be saying, but what if right now I'm so snowed under that I just don't have time for goals? I'm barely keeping my head above water running the day-to-day than setting these dream goals. If that's going to be your thinking, then I'm sorry to say it's time to drown. Seriously, if you want to keep doing it the same way, you will drown, and you'll drown the business with it. We all have the same amount of time in the day, 24 hours. Why then can some achieve so much and others just spin their wheels? I'll tell you why. It's something I remind myself every single day, and that's to live deliberately. What does this mean? It means changing your focus from a reactive to a proactive approach. It means not only doing those tasks that move you closer to your goal, but it also means saying no to the ones that don't. Already, I've been telling you to say no to harebrained marketing ideas. Now I'm telling you to say no to even more. Start controlling your time and stop letting other people control it. It sounds easier said than done though, right? Wrong. It takes 3 things. It takes planning, discipline, and consistent action. Planning means structuring your day, your week, your month, even your year in such a way that it's giving you the time you need to achieve your goals. But to stick by your planning, it takes discipline. Discipline to follow along with a plan you have created and avoid distraction. Discipline to say no when reactive tasks come your way that is someone else's priority and not your own. It's the discipline to stay strong, even when times get tough and uncomfortable, which they will. And finally, you need consistent action. And that's consistent action in the direction of your goals. You need to be taking action weekly, daily, even hourly to ensure that what you are doing is moving you closer to where you want to be. That's it. Do those 3 things with a goal in mind and you're on the path to success. But you won't get there if you don't have a strategy to win business. The front end strategy we've already talked about, and that's sales and marketing. But what you also need is a strategy to be able to deliver on your promises. And that's core area 5 and 6. It's delivering the front end and the back end of your business. Everything in life has systems, whether you see it or not. Most of them, we are so conditioned to following them, it's just normal for us. Some examples of systems in our daily life: filling up with petrol, say. You pull up, you open the fuel cap, you put the petrol in, you pay for the fuel, you drive off. That's a system. Making a coffee. You fill the kettle, you boil the kettle, you put a teaspoon of coffee in the mug, you pour some milk, you pour the boiling water in, you stir, and you enjoy. That's a system. This is what your business has to become. Totally systematized. Why? Well, like your sales process, which is a system itself, it ensures that you deliver consistent value. It removes room for human error. It makes your client feel more comfortable that they're being taken care of, even though they aren't aware the system is taking place. It allows your business to grow with far less stress. It makes the company more valuable in terms of sale. It also allows for quicker and easier and smoother onboarding of new staff. it gives you your precious time back, and most importantly, it ensures you deliver on what you promise. You see, systems are the backbone of a company, and unfortunately, they are often overlooked, especially in the construction space. Yes, you might have systems for invoicing, or you might have systems for setting up a construction site, but do these systems talk to each other? Are they automated so that repetitive tasks are handled by technology and not by humans? There are a magnitude of construction management software out there, or systems out there. And I sort of say systems in some way of a bit of an inverted comma comment, because I'm yet to find one that actually adds more to me than just being a pain in the ASS. So to me, a system should flow. It should be easy. It should take pressure off you. It shouldn't add, and it should reduce the time taken to do tasks. Unfortunately, the systems that are out there are pitched at the herd, and we've already recognized that you're not going to be part of the herd anymore. So you're going to need something a bit more robust. The whole back end of your company should be run by technology and supported by human resources to deliver on your systems. I'll say that again. The whole back end of your company should be run by technology and supported by human resources, okay? Human resources, so humans, are expensive compared to technology. They get sick, they go on leave, they ask for pay rises. Technology is a better staff member for the tasks it's designed to do. Computers are designed to be computers. Humans are designed to be humans. So distribute tasks accordingly to what we are made to do. I think the best way to describe it is that technology can probably do any task you do which is repetitive in nature, and do it better. For example, entering expenses. This can be as simple as taking a photo of the receipt with an app which reads the receipt and logs it into your accounting software. It could be setting up job folders. This can literally be as simple as setting up an automation and clicking a button. Client contact registers. This can be as simple as a drag and drop for a basic CRM. Issuing subcontractor scopes. This could be a macro set up in an Excel file that converts your quote to a scope, or updating scopes and programs. This can be an automation that, I guess, alerts everyone of any change. The list's really endless. Anything you can think of, you can generally automate. The beauty of this is it saves you time, and time equals money. It reduces the chances of missing something or making an error, and it can all run while you're sleeping. Simply think of this. If the task that you're doing involves a repetitive, if this happens, then do this type situation, technology can probably do it for you. But technology can't do everything. Humans have to be involved. We have a brain, and part of that brain is our prefrontal cortex. We've already talked about our reptilian 2 million-year-old brain. The prefrontal cortex, this allows us to think critically and is what separates us from a machine. So instead of paying humans to do, if this happens, then do this type tasks, use them for what only humans can do. And that's think critically, to interact, to form relationships, to apply ethical thinking. This is where you get the most out of humans and therefore the most out of your systems. Think of a system like a dummy's guide to your business. It needs to spell out how your company works from start to finish, and it needs to leave no stone untouched. It has to ensure you deliver on your promises, ensure you're following legislation, standards, acts, etc. Position the company to grow, and it needs to be a guide for all your human resources to follow. I can't stress this enough. Yes, it does seem like a lot of work, but it doesn't have to be if you spend a little bit of time on it every day. And once it's done, it will save you so much time and stress. With a perfectly functioning system, everything is streamlined. Yes, you might have small speed bumps you encounter, but these are just added to your system as lessons learned. So you don't encounter that same speed bump again in the future. while you're building your system, it's going to feel a little bit all over the place, but stay true because eventually your systems will pull through. I don't even need to talk about not having systems because if you don't, you'll explode, basically. So that's the blueprint. That's the new way. That's the right way. And the blueprint involves 6 core areas which take you and your business into the new way and to the right way. It's basically about getting clear direction, finding the time, developing marketing strategies, implementing sales process, systematizing the back end so you can deliver on the front end. That's it. That's the new way. That's the right way. But most businesses, especially in construction, follow a pattern sort of similar to this. I build houses. A client asked me to build offices. So now I build offices and houses. I've started a Facebook page to win more business. How come I'm not winning more business? I'll try out the education space. A friend of mine said that was good. Now I build houses, offices, and schools. Then you're probably going to be saying to yourself, I'm a master of all these things. I build offices, schools, houses, but I'm an expert in none of them. I don't have any systems to support all of these areas that I'm working in. And work coming through the door is basically like a roller coaster. I'm not a salesperson, so maybe I better hire a business development manager. But they want $100,000 a year plus commission. That was not a true story, but it is probably more than true for most people out there. You've at least experienced some of those things before. Stop following this path. This is the path of the herd. This is the path that 96% of businesses follow that fail in the first 10 years. Remember that 96% of all businesses fail in the first 10 years. If you want to succeed, make money, achieve your goals and dreams, you have to start doing things the new way, the right way. You have to start pivoting. You have to stop being a Blockbuster, a Kodak, or a Toys R Us, and start being a Netflix, start being an Instagram, start being an Airbnb. Declare now that you'll be a success. Check the notes with this video. Join me for a free discovery session where we delve deep into your business to see how these 6 core areas can be implemented for exponential growth.